So, good afternoon and welcome to what I expect to be one of the most interesting conversations about finance tech that you've recently heard. For those of you who don't know us, we are Payhawk. We are a finance orchestration platform that helps finance professionals easily manage foundational finance processes end-to-end by unifying global spend management with intelligent automation and real-time payments. I'm Georgi, a former CFO, currently leading communications at Payhawk. And if you're wondering why a former CFO is moderating a webinar about finance tech, well, let's just say that I've seen enough expensive technology decisions and mistakes to qualify as an expert. Just like 15 years ago, I was sitting in meetings, just like many of you, watching consultants promise that our new ERP was going to transform our finance function. Spoiler alert, we spent the next 2 years building Excel workarounds to fix what the system couldn't do. So I think that sounds familiar to many of you, but here is what we'll discuss today, and this is the first of a series of thought leadership webinars from Payhawk, in which we'll discuss various challenges that finance professionals are facing today. So starting with one of those challenges, being that companies use half of their just half of their software licenses and waste like millions of dollars annually. And for finance teams specifically, well, that's even worse. They're like using maybe just 20 or 30% of finance system capabilities, despite paying premium prices. So here's the thing, and this is like the main reason why we wanted to have this conversation. We're about to make the same mistakes with AI that we made with ERPs, with BI tools, with RPAs, unless we learn from what went wrong. And by saying mistakes, I'm referring to buying AI features and expecting transformation without addressing the underlying usability and workflow problems that made previous tools underutilized. So today I'm joined by two people who have lived this transformation from both sides. Andrew Rudchuk, he's head of finance transformation at autonomous robot producer Starship. And he's someone who actually has done the hard work of modernizing finance operations and can tell us what really works and what sounds good in DAX. So welcome, Andrew.
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So excited to have you. And of course, we have Tsvetina Yancheva, our director of product marketing at Payhawk, who helps building the AI tools that are supposed to solve these problems and hopefully can explain why this time it might be actually different. So welcome, Tsveti.
Hi, everyone.
So guys, a fair warning before we kick off, we're not going to sugarcoat the realities of finance tech implementation, but I hope we can give you a framework for thinking about what comes next. So let's start with the fundamental question that brought us here today. So Andrew, I'm curious, with all the finance investment in finance teams today, how effectively are teams actually using those tools? What are you seeing in practice?
Okay, so yeah, I will answer that question from finance function technology point of view, not like from like CFO point of view. But when it comes to finance systems and technology stacks that we're using also in Starship, it's really like we can measure like efficiency from different angles. We can measure efficiency from, for example, period and close time, how fast we are doing this. Or we can take different like metrics or KPIs and try to measure our efficiency. But what we did in Starship to understand the efficiency of utilizing software that we're using, and like we did like some kind of like audit or analysis of all the tools we have and all the processes we have in the company, because in the end of the day we buy the tools to execute our processes. So tools are just supportive, like some kind of tools that enable us to execute our processes, to process bills or generate sales invoices and so on. And I started to look at systems efficiency or process efficiency from process point of view, because everything in finance function is processes. Like in average, we can have like 50 or 60 processes in finance function, and you can think about like procurement or payroll or whatever, but those are like processes, and they split between different roles in like in finance team, like accounting or FP&A and so on. So to understand real efficiency of systems and processes, we did very simple exercise. Just to explain, so like, for example, when we are buying a car, so one of the things that we think about is fuel consumption, or like, I don't know, like kilowatts or electricity, yes? And it's also like maximum speed or whatever. But we always need to understand, like, okay, if we will buy that car, what would be the fuel consumption? If it's like 5 liters or 10 liters or 20 liters or 100 liters. So then we can make a decision. It's not like main decision, like main metric to make a decision, but still we need to understand this. But if you will go to any finance function today and you will ask them, okay, what is your cost to process one reimbursement or one bill or sales invoice? What is like real cost for the company to process one object in finance function? And I'm not sure that you will get an answer. It means that like we're running finance function, we're trying to be efficient, but we don't understand what is like our real cost to process one bill or PO or payroll or like any process or any object. So what we did in Starship, to understand this, we took software cost and payroll cost to process like, for example, reimbursement. Okay. And then we split that process into the steps to understand, okay, how much time employees are spending like to submit the reimbursement, managers to approve, and accountants to reconcile and sync to ERP, for example. So it's like you can get timing and you can get payroll part, and you also have software cost. So imagine you are paying for Payhawk, for example, and you're paying for like 4 main processes, like per diem reimbursement, mileage, cards, and corporate cards, like personal expenses. So those are like 4 main processes. You can purchase more models from Payhawk, but still. So, and if you're paying for Payhawk, I don't know, X amount of money monthly, then you can actually get some kind of how much per diems you created, and you can get cost per object. So when you know like how much per diems you're creating over the months, and you know like your payroll part, then you can calculate actual total cost for the company for software and payroll. And in the end of the day, you will get one key metric, cost to process one reimbursement or one bill. And it can be €5 or it can be €100. So all in all, to answer your question about efficiency, we actually need to understand our processes, understand cost of payroll and software. And if you will get like, I don't know, €10 to process one bill or reimbursement, maybe it's more or less fine and you're efficient. But if you are paying €100, then something wrong. So yeah, I would answer that question in that way.
All right, so it seems that, well, what you're doing is basically you're doing an ROI calculation, and how are you using these figures? Basically, what is the result? Are you taking or are you making any important decisions based on on these figures, on these calculations with regards to the software tools you're using?
So yes, it's actually when you have this fundamental data about your process and cost and the steps where you do something manually, automatic, or and so on, you can understand where you spent most of the time and where is on which process step you have like most cost. And then you can focus on that like particular step of the process to improve it so that you can reduce cost per object. And it also connected that to the point that when you have the data, you can feed it to AI that actually can give you a recommendation and assessment what else you can do. And it's really powerful because if you have that fundamental data, then AI can be very helpful to improve your finance function. So it's improving like efficiency. And it also connected to, like when you are using one solution, for example, Payhawk, and if, I don't know, some other vendor will come to us. And if somebody will say, okay, let's evaluate. And how we are evaluating new tools today? It's like emotions, feelings, connections. I like this, I don't like this, and so on. Of course, you can like count features, like do they have integration with Slack, if they can do this and this and this. But again, it would be like more human-centric decision. But still, we need to listen to finance function as a live organism that can actually tell us, this is like current process. Right now, it's like 10 euro. And if you're going to implement a new solution, then actually our current process would cost us like 20 euro. That's all. There is no discussion. So actually, you can take that fundamental data to understand and evaluate any new tools that you will see on the market. So yes, you can use that data a lot in different directions, actually.
Okay, that's really insightful. And Sveti, from your perspective of working with various finance teams, do you think there is a gap between what basically systems can do and what they're actually used for? And if so, why? What's the reason for that?
Well, I think we all know there is a gap. This is why we're here today. I think there's many directions we can take this question into, but writing on the topic of processes and defining your process, being fully aware what your process looks like end to end, what Andrew spoke to. This reminded me of something that we used to speak about a lot in the early days of Payhawk. We would say Payhawk helps you digitize your process, and that we went big with that until we understood that there's a lot more to it than just digitizing the process. If your process today is cumbersome, long, complicated, broken, and takes 5 days and costs 100 euros to process a bill, even if you digitize that, it doesn't solve the problem. It's going to take you 80 instead of 100 days, but it's still not a great process. So we need to be open to also adapting your process to fully utilize the software that you've purchased and to get to that minimum effort point of efficiency. Because when we talk about the use of the product, adoption or efficiency, if you will, we look at it from two points of view. One is what percentage of the platform is being used. Like, have we adopted all of the modules with a specific customer? Are they using our cards and expenses and procurement and AP software? Are they appreciating everything that we have to offer and as part of their plan? And then the other angle is how much time are they spending on the platform? Is it going down? Because opposed to most tools that you might have on your phone, we don't want to keep you on the platform. We want to keep you less and less and less on the platform. So we try and track how long it takes you to close the month, if that time is going down. And having people close to us, like Andrew from Starship, gives us a lot of important information that helps us understand how that works and how we can improve it. And apart from the digitalization of the process, the other point that we've noticed, and this recently actually came up in a conversation with our CFO, we were discussing how do we get to our customers the best. We speak directly to our admins and accountants who are usually financial leaders within the organization. Those are our main users on the platform that we communicate to directly. And we know that even though we blast emails and we try and send notifications about every new feature, they don't always see it. They're busy, obviously. They disregard an email, they close a pop-up, and they very often don't even know that there's new capabilities that have come out. So they don't have time to understand how they work. They don't have time to add them to the process that they've already drawn out and automated. And that leaves them unused. We had our director of finance actually, who still does not have time to understand every new piece of software that comes out from us. She's using our platform every day, and there's new features that just fly past her because she's still pulled into day-to-day finance, nitty-gritty things every now and then, ironing out processes. It takes time. And we all know that finance teams are often understaffed, which means that even if you're on a leadership level, you still come back to the day-to-day, and there's no way out of it unless you work your best to find the tools and automate the day-to-day and the annoying, repetitive manual work, which is where also hopefully AI can come in and help us remove a bit of that from our to-do list. But I think we're going to get to that a bit later in the conversation.
Yeah, that's true. And that was a very good segue to my next question, because as Tsvetina said, it's finance teams are really like still pressed for time, and they're still doing a lot of operational stuff, a lot of data gathering, data handling, analysis, if you will. But then they've like always wanted to be a strategic partner to the business, to do strategy, to do insights. So in this regard, Andrew, I'm curious. There's a lot of talk about finance becoming a strategic partner, and there's been a lot of progress, at least since I worked as a CFO myself. But in your experience, what's still preventing this from happening even today, when we have so much more in terms of like tools and processes and everything?
You mean like strategic partner for organization? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the strategic role and the true value added contribution of finance teams, that is, well, not controlling. Well, of course controlling is important, and doing reports. But when I was like working in finance, like most of my time was spent like doing reports, not basically acting or drawing insights based on these reports. So what's currently the status, and is it has it changed with finance leaders and CFOs today?
I think it depends from like company size and organization. And if we will take a look at big corporates, then I think the CFO office is very powerful in terms of influencing the direction of company path. When it comes to mid-sized companies and small companies, then yes, you're right. In most of the cases, like finance teams, they are working on reports and preparing data and so on. When it comes like to, again, like there are different like sides that we can evaluate here, and one of the aspects is trust. Yes, and because like when finance team is preparing data, financial data, and if management team fully trust it, then I think it like open a door for finance CFO, like finance management team or CFO, to be more like strategic partner and influence the direction. But if management teams see a lot of issues coming with financial data and it's inaccurate or incomplete, then there is low trust. And with low trust, we all know it's not like scalable action. You also can think about like if finance team cannot close a period within like 20 working days, so like how they can help us. So it's like I mean, all this comes like, it's not like so easy to answer because all this comes to efficiency of finance function, to be able to provide accurate data, to be like a real like trustable partner for management team, to make it efficiently like fast, to close the periods or like be very efficient. And then this will open door to influence the company. And it's also connected to technology part, because like in finance, there is always like in finance we are more or less structured. We have AP, we have AR, we have FP&A and BI. Like it's more we know our processes, and what we're doing in finance function, we're always trying to automate it, because it's well-known thing that it's like we have millions of companies, but each company is running their finance function in their own way, and it's I don't know why, but still we are doing this. But processes are the same. We're doing this in different way. So, and we're also always trying to automate. And if you will take a look at organization, I think in finance, there is most of innovation is happening in terms of automation, transformation, adaptation of AI, and so on, maybe customer support and sales, but from like back office processes, finance is like key driver. And if you can replicate this like philosophy to rest of the organization, it would benefit so much, because believe me, like in other departments, there are like so much things that like just can be explained to some finance people, like why is they doing like in that way? Why is they spending so much time? Because in finance function, we need to be like very like small team, because like it's accounting, we just need to process data or whatever. So we need to be very like efficient. In the rest of the teams, you can hire like as much as possible, and then we need to reduce cost and so on. But so I would say again, as a core, it comes to efficiency of finance function. And if you're efficient, if the data is accurate and transparent and auditable, then of course this will give a lot of opportunities to become like a real strategic partner for an organization.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of like efficiency and productivity, we obviously now have AI, which is all the rage. And then Tsveti, when you think about AI in finance, of course, it's still early days, but how do you see it already changing the day-to-day reality? And as you're working on building the AI solution, the AI first solution of Payhawk. So what are your observations? What are you observing any shifts already?
I think if I'm going to really boil down the message, it's gonna be about saving time, which we've heard a million times, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But we touched already on the subject that finance teams are understaffed. They have a lot to focus on. And if we can do our best to minimize the time they spend on low value tasks and give them that space they need to be driving the business forward, that is an absolute win for us. We see from our early usage, as well as the first agent that we launched internally for the company and our first customers testing it already, that there's a big impact on the speed of collecting receipts, the speed of reconciling spend, which is, we all know, a very annoying part of the job for both sides involved. And that is a very good sign that we're moving in the right direction. There is Going forward, there's a lot more that we want to tackle, and we want AI to support finance teams with. And I think support is the key word here. We want to make sure that this is something acting alongside you. It's not aimed to replace people. It's aimed to make people more efficient. And going forward, that would span beyond obviously something as simple as receipt chasing, but we would look at bigger processes and find pieces or activities that can be autonomously handled by an AI agent, while the human is focused on something that is a lot more value adding, more complicated, strategic, and decision making. And there's one example from a customer of ours that I always come back to, who said that they now have one person in their finance team that spends 50% of their capacity supporting as an SDR, which is an interesting direction to go to, but actually a very nice outcome of them efficiently applying the
Yeah.
software and finding time to invest where the business would benefit most.
Yeah,
And
that's
Mhm.
yeah. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I like the agreement. So it's good.
Yeah, I
I'm
said
saying the right things.
I was going to say that that's really a transformation, the SDR example that you gave. But yeah, well, at least my impression is that the market at the moment is flooded with the vendors. I mean, almost every SaaS platform is like boasting AI capabilities, or there is an aification of the market, of the SaaS market. So, of course, yeah, some of it I believe is a genuine transformation, but I think that some of it might be just, automation with the better marketing. So, and in view of this hype and noise, and people find it really difficult to get their heads around. Tsveti, how should finance leaders think about the difference between like automation and, well, presumably Payhawk has been automating finance processes for a long time now, and then the truly transformative AI capabilities that we are starting to see emerge?
Yeah, I like the AIification of the market. I'm gonna use that. Something I've been using, by the way, is that we're in the blockchain 2.0 era because I feel like it's the same thing. Everyone was repeating that word. It was attached to every possible solution on the market. Some companies even added it to their official name on the stock market just to up their stock prices. There was one iced
Yeah,
tea company that did that. And I feel like we're in the same situation with AI, or specifically with AI agents, because I mean, AI technology evolves in an insane speed. It's difficult to keep up, honestly. You go to bed and the next morning there's a new model that's live. But
indeed.
AI automation capabilities have been here for a while. And actually, we've had some on the platform for over 2 years, potentially. Scanning documents, extracting information, making sense of what's written, checking whether it's A, B, or C is correct, or all these little automation things can be AI powered, can be hard coded. Often for
Right.
the user, it's very hard to tell the difference. But agents and AI agentic technology and AI agentic features are the new thing, the new hype. And telling them apart from basic, I'm going to say, automation is probably going to help you choose the tool that is actually betting on the new technology versus trying to just, hype up their price and get you to buy them because they're also on the trend. And it's such a big topic to start and discuss how agents are different from from automation. But a simpler way to approach it is that automation features are rule-based and they are rigid, whereas AI agents can make autonomous decisions for small tasks. They're given a very little scope of capability, or they're allowed to do a very small set list of things, and they can do them fully autonomously. It's like you have someone that's just joined the company and they know how to do 3 things, and you're giving them the freedom to do these things for you, and you don't have to ask them how far along are they. They don't have to ask you for help. They're fully sufficient for a little task or 2, 3 little tasks.
Yeah.
And then you get a
Define
group of
boundaries.
agents and they do stuff for you.
Okay, but let's get specific. And then, Andrew, can you give us, from your experience, a specific example, albeit like early days, as I said, of how AI has transformed the way your finance teams or your finance operations run, whether it has made them like run faster or it has increased or improved quality. But yeah, if you could give us a specific example, that would, I think, greatly elucidate what Sveti was explaining in theory about the difference between automation and truly transformative AI.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree, because like what was transformative for us, it's not AI, but it was like Payhawk, Varkata, iPass solutions, so that we can integrate everything, automate. I mean, those are like transformative things, not AI. And if we will think about AI, so it's true that all those like software vendors right now embed AI into some of their functionality to run on backend, like to make it some things faster or whatever. Sometimes users do not see any usage of AI, but on backend it can happen, like for invoice recognition. But we don't care. I mean, users don't care what technology it's, like AI, machine learning, rule-based, like just, it doesn't matter until it's like efficient enough and it takes like good accuracy, like 99% or 95% of recognition of invoice, then it's fine. I mean, it's not about AI as a like AI. So in our case, like as of today, we have like embedded like AI functionality. I wouldn't say that it's like improved a lot, or maybe it made some things faster. When it comes to like more broad usage of AI, of course, on personal level, we are using AI to when it comes to systems or NetSuite configuration or and so on. What was like my biggest usage of AI is actually when you have those like processes and you know like they're like everything about the process and cost and steps and everything. Then actually you can feed to AI and you can build an engine that actually will automatically evaluate all of your processes and provide you a summary of what you can do with a like roadmap for next month or like year. Small changes, like more like medium changes or like big projects, and then can calculate ROI if you will what you will get if you will do that. I think it's so powerful, because otherwise you need to go to some consulting company which will come to you, spend 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months to evaluate everything and then provide you like a summary of what you can do. So it's one case, and it's like so powerful because then you can actually have a roadmap of things that you can do with AI or without AI. It doesn't matter, because the end goal is to improve efficiency. And if you can do that with AI, good. If no, good. Blockchain, whatever technology you can use, like it's one part. And second part is you can run actually those agents to not only understand the efficiency of the process, but also connect it to the things that Tsvetina mentioned. Payhawk always release new functionality. Other vendors like NetSuite, they all release new functionality and no one actually monitoring those. But they can be really helpful for you to improve your processes, to be more efficient actually. And now when like you can think about, like, if from one side you have like finance functions that is described as a processes with all the steps and like everything what is happening like in digital twin of finance function. You have an AI that can go to Payhawk, getting old NetSuite, release documents, and actually read new releases and match with your processes and send you a signal and tell it like, hey, I don't know, Payhawk release bulk approval. It can sell you like, I don't know, like 100 hours per month if you will use it. So this is the way how AI actually will not transform the way how users works, but actually can support you to be more efficient, and it will not solve your problem. It actually can assess and give an advice from that point of view, so that you can execute or you can hire someone who will execute. So I think it's very powerful. And of course, we have some meetings with new vendors who is coming and saying we AI and AI, and what they're saying is what they're doing is like completely different. Like it's not matching, and I like to see these things. I cannot hear. It's very complicated for me. So, And if companies think like we are doing this like automatically everything, but eventually it just comes to, I don't know, signals about like anomaly detection, for example, because everyone talking about anomaly detection, but in the end of the day, we don't need AI. I can build a safe search in NetSuite with rules and say like, if somebody will post journal entry with revenue account, notify me, because they need to use like sales invoices. Over there, like you can do already a lot of things like already. You don't need AI for this, and you don't need to buy a new vendor and pay like 2K monthly or 3K monthly just to have AI tool. So, but as of now, I haven't seen any transformative from AI native point of view to transform finance function, like literally, like completely. We still will have database ERP where we will just hit transactions from Chargebee, Payhawk, but like just as a database. And then we will have all those tools around ERPs. But it's yeah, another topic, I would say.
Yeah, that was interesting, and especially the thing about the thing you said about solving problems with and without AI, and this reminds me of one of the basic principles we have at Payhawk in our AI manifesto, that we should like always solve a problem without AI if that is possible, with with mainstream and standard automation or rule-based, and only use like AI for tasks that are amenable or suitable for that. Okay, so before we talk about the future of finance, because that's interesting to look at, I'd like to also kind of involve the audience, and I will launch a quick poll to see what is currently holding us back, holding you all back from implementing and using AI. So launching the poll. And of course, it's asking about your biggest concern. They're all concerns, obviously, but please pick up the biggest one, or the one that is really kind of a deal breaker for you and your teams. Okay, so yeah, I think a few more votes I'm waiting for to gather, well, a representative sample of a consensus. Yeah, okay, so I'll be ending the poll and we'll share the results. So I don't think, well, there's anything surprising. Of course, data quality and trust is topping the list, which is absolutely normal, because we know that, well, data is the most important thing for especially for AI projects and for AI to work. And then we have some votes on for the other options, and not like few people, a small part of people like chose talent and change management, which I think is really, really foundational, and maybe it's at some point even more important than other factors. But Andrew, as someone who who's been leading finance transformation, do you have any concerns about how AI might reshape and change the next generation of finance professionals, especially in view of the fact that now there's a lot of going on about AI, taking and performing junior level work, and then the question arises of how, the next generation of finance leaders will be born if there's no, if the entry level is, already being or is going to be outsourced to AI.
Okay. So, yeah, before I would answer that question, I would say that it's an example from life, like AI will change this, but what we can see already for current new generation is that if you will try to hire an AP accountant, and you will ask those young people how you will post a bill where you would put debit and credit, which accounts you will use, you will not get an answer.
Well, that's
Why? It's very
frustrating.
simple because there are like tools like Payhawk, for example, where you don't need to think about the fundamental things of accounting. You need to think about, like, from process point of view, receipt, approve, pay, reconcile, think. Somewhere it would land, and it's all good. I mean, Payhawk did all the work, and this is I would say that SaaS companies already made so much change to shape a new generation of finance employees or team members or whatever. And it's true. It's really hard to find like AP accountant. I think AP accountant. They don't know like how to make a posting.
Yeah.
Which is already like a big signal of. So this is what is already happening. When it comes to AI, like as of today, how we see it, it's like most probably yes, we can think about like financial analysts, people who is working with data, because AI is good when you have a lot of data and you have a good instruction or context or prompt or whatever you are using, or a autonomous AI agent which is designed with some scope and given with some set of instructions of how to act or to do. So I think that area most probably yes, but in the end of the day, still quality of data and trust to data is very important, and you cannot fully rely on AI and to think that the work would be done and the analysis would be done in appropriate way and everything is good. You cannot do that, because otherwise, yeah, you wouldn't be part of that company or you're working. Still, you would need to go to like source of those transactions to understand why and what and how and so on. So I think from one side, very simple activities for financial analysts, yes, but still it can be shifted to more more technical aspect of investigating and understanding what is the source, how it was done, and so on, which is still can be done with AI and provided to you some output that you can use. But so, because if we will think about AP accounting or AP part or accounts receivable or fixed assets or cash management or treasury, I wouldn't say that AI completely would change, because still you need to execute process. In some steps, yes, you would get help, but where most of the companies right now trying to focus is to work on top of data, transactional data, to find anomalies, to trying to explain what is and how and so on, which is true. And nowadays, no one wants to spend so much time to analyze this data, because it takes too much time to analyze transactional data to see. But AI can do that. So I think AI will empower, and new generation will need to start to understand how they can use AI to empower their work. It's I'm doing this with my daughter, 9 years old. I'm just asking her to sit in front of AI and do something, ask for generate some examples for math exam. She need to, it's not about to use AI, but it's she needs in her mind to accept there is a tool that can help her to do something, not to do fully for like some work, but help her to do better. So this is what I'm doing for my daughter, and I think it's something that we need to do for employees and maybe students in universities to teach them to use AI to support them, not like fully rely on them.
Okay, so from what you're saying, Andrew, I gather, and just like when reading between the lines, that we're essentially going to need a completely different set of skills. Is what you're saying is that, well, we won't need to have like accounting, deep accounting knowledge, how accounting entries are posted, but in the AI era, there will be a completely different set of skills that will define the CFO profession. Is that correct? And then what is your advice for people and for leaders and for our audience, or who's identifying and recognizing the challenges that we've discussed? Where should they start? So what's the one of the first thing they can do right away in order to not get behind in such a dynamic environment?
I think you should have curiosity, and this is the main driver like for any person. So like what we need to do, we need to go, like we don't need to wait until someone would come with some solution and tell us like, hey, this is how it works. But I think we are like holders of knowledges about the businesses, processes. We accumulate experience. And what we are lacking is to fully understand the real potential of AI, because there are two ways: to wait until someone would come with some solution and say, this is the way you can use AI to do the work. And you need to be trained and accept this. Another way is you go and investigate AI capabilities. It's not about like particular tools, but it's about like what you can do. Maybe, and of course, you need to start to gain some kind of technical knowledge about like what is like how it works, what you can do. Because I really think that synergy, like we will get the synergy when each person can understand, like has own experience and skills and can understand the capabilities of AI. And then in between, there is something would happen that would tell you, hey, maybe you need to use AI in that direction, or maybe you can use it in that direction, and so on and so forth. So, but you need to go and investigate how it's working, what you can do, and you need at least to follow the like trends to understand and be aligned with this. Because it's one thing that one company would come to you and say like, hey, we're doing this magic, and it can be very like cool and so on. But if you understand the technical aspect of how it works today with AI for coding or development, it's like, so you can do that within one day. I mean, you don't need to buy a solution, because some of the like things that come into us right now is actually can be developed as a POC within 2 days or 3 days. Seriously, if you know some coding. That is why I started to do my coding to understand how and what I can do with AI and what is the potential, and I understand. But I really see that in the future, finance team like members or CFOs, they would be able to move their skills and knowledges into the digital world. And imagine that when you will come to a new company, it's your CV, like resume with your skills and things you do, but you also have a list of your AI agents or skills that you have actually. So it would be augmented like CV, for example. And then when you come to a new company, you actually connect your AI skills into the existing like environment, and you starting to perform much like faster, better, and so on, because you are bringing your own way of working. and AI can help you. So I think it's the future of when we have those digital twins of us actually that can be resold, or like you can bring with you to new company and so on. But in any way, we will somehow digitize our skills and knowledges into some AI agents, autonomous AI agents or whatever, that would actually help us to work. So I think it's the future. And anyway, you need to be technical. You need to start
Well, yeah,
about technical stuff.
that sounds good, achievable, positive in a way. Let's see if we'll wrap up on a positive note with Sveti. And my last question to you would be, what from Payhawk's vision perspective, what would be how would you describe the successful finance team in 5 years? So what are you hoping to see and to achieve with what you are building?
What's our ideal customer 5 years from today?
Yeah, that'll be
Before I jump into that, I wanted to just write on something that Andrew mentioned. I'm a big supporter of the idea that the next generation of finance leaders is going to be the one that is proactive, because I don't think we stand a chance if we wait on the educational system to adapt. I personally went to university not too long ago, but AI still wasn't really a thing. And in my finance classes at the University of Mannheim, which is the big finance thing in Germany, we would draw the accounts and do lines of where the money moves and how. And that's it. Even when I went to university, it was too late to still be doing that. So if anyone wants to be successful with the technology that is coming up every day, they need to proactively go and play with it. Literally start playing with it until you see what application it can have and where it could be really useful. And I also agree with the idea that you need to be technical, because going forward, if we believe in these early days of the AI era that it will hold strong and AI will continue to grow and become more and more capable, then we also need to make sure that we continue growing the architecture and the infrastructure that supports it being successful and efficient. And key, you both said this multiple times, but key to successful AI application is data. Well managed, well structured, well integrated data. And I think if I were to say things you need to start doing now, not 5 years from now, because 5 years from now, it's already too late. You need to get yourself ready, because the AI that we're talking about might as well come around in just a few months or maybe a year. I honestly am surprised every day by how fast things are changing. But you need to be prepared to apply the technology that comes to you. Even if it's not in the shape of a company coming and saying, hey, buy this, you don't necessarily have to buy something new, but you need to make sure that the basis of your infrastructure is set up. And by that, I mean the data that flows seamlessly between the systems that you use. If you have 7 disconnected, fragmented solutions that one does AP, the other one does invoice scanning, and then the third one is actually your card provider, then it's very difficult for the AI to have the full picture and give you the support that you need to work most efficiently. And if I do a little plug, this is why we're very excited to be building AI agents, and not as a product, but as part of the offering, as a feature that adds on top of the infrastructure layer, because we have the payment infrastructure in-house. We have all of the product storage, managing, processing. We have your workflows. We have everything in one place. And that AI technology plugs in, has all the context that your business has already set up, and it's ready to go from day one. And that's, even without Payhawk, that's where you want to go. If you can do it without Payhawk, great. If you can't, we'll help you. But get yourself to that point is my thinking, where plugging in AI is easier because it has the context that it needs to function efficiently.
Yeah, well, thank you. That was I think a great wrap up. And I'm conscious of the time, so want to both thank you. It has been a really insightful and revealing conversation. I hope that our audience has also is going away with at least some food for thought, because that was our goal, to basically make you think and look at things from various perspectives. So thank you once again, and I don't think we have time for questions, but if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and Tsveti or Andrew will be happy to get back with an answer, or whatever thoughts you may have. Please share, and stay tuned for our next Thought Leadership webinar, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.